I want to solve the equation b minus 5 over 6 quantity squared minus quantity b minus 5 over 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do here is let x equal b minus 5 over 6. So then b minus 5 over 6 squared would just be x squared. B minus 5 over 6 is x. Minus 6 is 0. We can factor this out as x minus 3, x plus 2. And we get that x is 3 and negative 2. But notice x was b minus 5 over 6. We want to solve for b, not x. So let's plug in x equals b minus 5 over 6. And we're going to set that equal to 3 and negative 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 6 to get b minus 5 is 18. So b here is 23. And I'm going to multiply both sides by 6. B minus 5 is negative 12. That means b is negative 7. Okay. So these are our answers, and it's always good to double check that it is correct. But we don't have to worry here because it's not like we have a square root or fraction where b is on the denominator. So if you plug it in here just to check, you should get the right answer. Okay. All right, let's look at another one. We have 2x plus 3 root x minus 20 is equal to 0. Yeah, this one we can make a substitution. Actually, there's two ways to do it. Let's see if we can factor it first. So can you factor? So let's see. Let's say if it was, pretend it was 2x squared plus 3x minus 20. Okay. To see if you can factor it, we have to do the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. This has to be a perfect square. So if it's not a perfect square, we're going to have to use a different method. Okay, so b is 3, so we have 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 20. That's 9. 4 times 2 is 8. Times negative 20 is negative 160. So yeah, this is 169, which is 13 squared. Yeah, so this is actually a perfect square, so we can factor it. So we're going to make a substitution, kind of like the last problem. We're going to let u equal the square root of x. So then x itself would require us to square both sides, which will be u squared. So if I have 2x, I'm going to replace that with 2u squared. And then square root of x is just u, minus 20 is 0. So we're just rewriting this as a quadratic. So think of this as a quadratic in disguise with the correct substitution. And at this point you have to factor this. So let's see. What I like to do is use this table. So we have 2u squared negative 20. No, sorry, this is 3u and this is negative 20. What factors do you get to multiply to give you 2u squared? It's just 2u and u. What about factors of 20? Well, I can use 4 and 5, which actually works here. But because it's negative, one of them has to be negative. So 2u times 4 is 8u. U times negative 5 is negative 5u. And if you add these, au plus negative 5u is 3u. So what I did was correct. And now I just look at the diagonals. So this would be 2u minus 5 as one of the factors. And this would be u plus 5. Oh, sorry, u plus 4 as the other factor. So if we solve for u, well, we have 2u minus 5 is 0. That'll make u equals 5 halves. And then u plus 4 is 0, which will make u negative 4. Okay. But remember, we started off with x's, not u's. So we need to go back and substitute with what we know. U was square root of x. So let's replace it. U with square root of x. And now we have to square both sides. So square root of x squared is x. 5/2 squared is just 25 over 4. And then square both sides here, we get 16. So we do get two answers. But you have to be careful because you let u be a square root. Whenever you have that, you always want to check your answer. So I'm going to go back to the original problem. And let's see if I plug in, one of the answers was x equals 16. So if I plug in x equals 16, I get 2 times 16 plus 3 times root 16 minus 20. 2 times 16 is 32. Root 16 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12 minus 20. Okay, that is 44 minus 20, which is definitely not 0. Okay, so we throw this out. Doesn't work. The next one we have to check is 25 over 4. Does this work? Well, 2 times 25 over 4 plus 3 times the square root of 25 over 4 minus 20. So the 2 will cancel here, so we get 25 over 2 plus 3. Now the square root of 25 over 4 is 5/2, and then minus 20. So we have 25/2, and then 3 times 5/2 is just 15/2. They have the same denominator, so I can add them. So 25 plus 15 is 40 over 2 minus 20, and 40 over 2 is just 20. And then we subtract it with 20 to get 0. So yeah, this one worked. So to sum it up, 16 did not work, but 25 over 4 worked as a solution. So the only solution here is 25 over 4.